Are square taper bottom brackets really that heavy? I honestly didn't think so until I weighed my own setup on my dream carbon fiber road bike TT frame that I built on this channel 3 weeks ago. I had this bright idea comparing square taper bottom brackets with modern day hollow tech and GXP and PressFit bottom brackets. In this video, we're gonna find out how much weight I actually save on my dream build as it progresses. Google claims that it's only 200 grams saved. And I said to myself, am I really gonna go through all this just to find out that I only saved 100 or 200 grams? This whole idea came to my mind as I was reading one of the comments someone left on a reel recently where they were informing me that the square taper bottom brackets are just some heavy units that I should consider a Hollowtech style crank and BB setup. Now, if you guys remember correctly, we tuned up a giant TCR3. And to be realistic, this is a carbon bicycle that I'm flipping, and the market for this, it's a little bit slower of a flip but higher margin. So with this in mind, I had it laying around and it wasn't really doing much, and I let the curiosity get the best of me. So I started taking apart this bottom bracket and crank on this giant TCR3 from 2010 to compare it to the square taper setup that I have on my dream build bike. And I was just dying to figure out how much weight the square taper actually is. Now, ever since I built my dream bike, I'm not gonna lie, I'm coming from a steel fixed gear frame setup. So a carbon frame, in fact, is lighter. I honestly still had an urge to find out. Only because I recently had been riding this bike more and more, and I noticed and questioned, hey, if I'm already investing money, if I'm already setting a goal to upgrade this bike as I go along, why don't I just swap the crankset, swap the BB on this giant, and sell it as is and still flip it and get free parts from it? Technically it's not free, but still, it was just laying around. So now it was time to take apart the square taper, crank, and bottom bracket off of my carbon fiber road bike that I built up from a Facebook marketplace just not too long ago. Now this entitled me taking out the bottom bracket with a bottom bracket tool. As you can tell, there's two different ones. I'm not gonna lie, my tools aren't the most expensive. I've recently been working in a shop where they had Park tools, and I can definitely tell the quality difference between a toolkit and Park tool. Although for my needs, this is more than enough. So I continue to tear down the square taper on my bike, and as soon as I pulled this thing out, man, I was just in awe, man. This thing was a clunky piece of metal, and it was all due to a comment that kind of red-pilled me on the fact that these are some heavy units. Now, I ride, and I used to have a lot of volume 6 months ago to 4 months ago. I used to do 200 miles a week. Now, to the average cyclist, that might be above average. I used to train very intensively, tracking my TSS. So this all is very intriguing to me. So I laid down, here we got all of the components. 1,280 grams is the square taper setup. Now let's weigh, and the final reveal is 860 for the GXP and the hollow textile 24 millimeter spindle. This setup was almost 400, basically 400 grams lighter than the square taper. That is just completely out of my mind. I was just boggled by the fact that even Google said it was heavier. The GXP is lighter. That is just insane. Oh man. So when I started putting this back together, you already know I was hyped. I was like, yo, worst case, I take all this apart and it's only 100 or 200 grams like Google's saying. But 400 grams, I did not expect that. Now, keep in mind, these have to be torqued to the spec on the cup. These are external cups that screw onto a BSA threaded frame. This frame is BSA, and think of this as, I want to say 2016, 2012. This is when the market sort of shifted away from the square taper. Square taper actually shifted a lot earlier. I'm not too familiar with the history, but I do know the standards. Now you see a lot of carbon frames, modern frames with the PressFit, the BB30, and it's all just due to these companies just wanting to improve on the bottom bracket. And now one thing that really stood out to me is the stiffness on this when I started writing it. Now, one of the biggest issues I had with square taper was the flex. Now, I don't know if that's just me or my setup. It wasn't due to any loosening or under torquing. The bottom bracket was very torqued, and it was just, I believe, the flex on the square taper bottom brackets with a square taper crank. The flex is just too much for me when I'm climbing, when I'm sprinting. I can even feel chain rub. Now all that went away when I started writing this after I put it together. As you can see, I put together the cranks, I put in the spindle, now the non-drive side, and I put on the top cap to compress the preload all in together. And oh man, was I happy. I was just completely stoked away to the fact that I was cutting off 400 grams from this bike. Now, intentionally, this bike is my quote-unquote dream build, and in my dream build video, I unintentionally made it my dream build. Honestly, this frame, I just came across it on Facebook Marketplace. I was completely stoked to the fact that I always kind of wanted to dabble around with some nice like carbon frame without spending so much money. And I know it's rim brake, I know it's not super modern, but realistically, rim brake is super easy to maintain. It's super easy to find. Although I've heard some AI videos talking about rim brakes being kind of pushed out of the market. I don't really fully believe that yet. So here it is all together. I truly was just in awe. And later down the line, I do plan on upgrading the rim set on this bike. If you guys enjoyed this video in finding out how much does a square taper bottom bracket actually weigh compared to a modern day Holotech style setup, then please consider subscribing and leaving a like and joining LFG Cycling community. I put together this quick checklist that you can run through for free down in the description on lfgcycling.com website. Go check it out. You will not be disappointed. It helps as little reminders here and there what to check when you're first starting to flip bikes. Thank you guys for tuning into this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Wow, that was some massive weight saving. I was not expecting that, especially since Google was saying it was only like 200 grams weight saved. Now look at that. We saved over 400 grams on this carbon bike. Now, how many of you know that those grams matter? Every little thing matters. But at the same time, when you're riding a bike, either for pleasure, racing, you're the engine. So at the end of the day, those marginal gains is cool and all, but still, don't forget to follow my Instagram. I just hit 20,000 subscribers. I thank you guys so much, and we've been progressing together as a community. I post daily content on quick tips, bike flips, reels, and just bike builds that I do throughout my weeks. I've recently just been working as a bike tech at a new store, so that's been taking a lot of my time, and I've just been progressing LFG cycling as it goes on, as it's always just been about documenting my journey with bike flipping and bike building and mechanical work and sharing along the knowledge. So thank you guys for tuning in again on this week's episode. I'll catch you guys next week.